In 2014, a Malaysian Airlines Boeing 777 disappeared with 239 people on board while on its way from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. A revolutionary new method to trace the path of the plane now suggests that the pilot was active and seems to have been talking with Malaysian authorities during what many researchers describe as a murder-suicide. On Sunday, February 20th, 60 Minutes Australia interviewed a retired aerospace engineer who showed evidence that adds an alarming new twist to the mystery of the disappeared flight MH370. The engineer, Richard Godfrey, says he analyzed records of the disturbances that the huge airliner made in the radio waves of amateur radio signals. He says his research clearly shows the path of the airplane as it made maneuvers that could only have been done manually by an active pilot. His analysis indicates that the plane made a strange 360-degree loop off the coast of Malaysia for 20 minutes before it flew toward Antarctica. Godfrey thinks it's possible that the pilot was communicating with Malaysian authorities during those 20 minutes, saying, "I hope that, if there was any contact with Malaysian authorities, that after 8 years, now they'd be willing to divulge that." Godfrey says his analysis shows that the plane then flew south before crashing 2,000 kilometers west of Perth, Australia, and some 4 kilometers under the water in an area known as the Seventh Arc. The Australian Transport Safety Bureau said that Godfrey is a credible expert on the subject of MH370 and that it had ordered a review of the search data. However, the Bureau added that any further searches would be up to the Malaysian government. The bosses of the world's 2 giant airplane manufacturers say the January 5th launch of 5G phone services in the US could have serious safety implications for airline jets. Here are the details. The BBC reported on Tuesday, December 21st, that the top executives of Boeing and Airbus have called on the US government to halt the launch of 5G phone services in the US. 2 of the biggest phone companies in America, Verizon and AT&T, are scheduled to switch on their 5G networks on January 5th. The Boeing and Airbus executives say there is unsettling evidence that C-band spectrum 5G wireless radiation could interfere with sensitive aircraft equipment like radio altitude meters. These high-tech devices are very important to guide the pilots and onboard computers, especially at night and in misty or stormy weather when visibility is almost zero. The chief executive of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, says if the FAA's new 5G directives come into effect, airline pilots would not be able to use their radio altitude meters at around 40 of the biggest airports in America. The airline makers made their plea in a joint letter that cited researchers who found that if 5G rules had been in effect in 2019, about 345,000 passenger flights and 5,400 cargo flights would have faced delays, diversions, or cancellations. The American Wireless Industry Group, CTIA, says 5G technology is safe, and it accused the aircraft makers of fear-mongering and fact distortion. In a blog post cited by the BBC, the CTIA's chief executive said pushing back deployment 1 year would subtract $50 billion in economic growth, just as our nation recovers and rebuilds from the pandemic. After videos of a mid-air explosion, a burning plane, and plane debris falling on a Denver suburb went viral, Boeing has recommended grounding dozens of its 777 aircraft around the world. The BBC reports that United Airlines said it's removing all of its Boeing 777 planes currently in service that are powered by Pratt & Whitney 4000 series engines after the FAA called for stepped-up inspections of these engines. The move comes after the right-hand engine of a 26-year-old Boeing 777-200 operated by United Airlines suffered an uncontained engine failure. The ensuing explosion blew the engine's cowlings off and left the engine burning and smoking, while pieces of cowling and engine rained down on the Broomfield suburb of Denver, Colorado. Luckily, no one on the ground or in the airplane was injured by the explosion and debris. United is the only U.S. airline flying this model of 777, with the others being in Japan and South Korea. The FAA has ordered more frequent inspections for the hollow fan blades that are unique to this model of engine, which are used only on Boeing 777 airplanes. Even before Trump took office in 2016, he was working on cutting the estimated $4.4 billion cost of the new Air Force One program. Here's a look at the result. The presidential fleet is getting an upgrade with 2 modern Boeing 747s to serve as Air Force One. Former U.S. President Donald Trump redesigned Air Force One's exterior with the American flag colors of red, white, and blue. The future Air Force One aircraft are Boeing 747-8s. Their Air Force designation is VC-25B. They will replace the currently serving VC-28As. The new jets are larger and more efficient, though they will carry the same number of passengers, 71, according to the War Zone. Currently, the President's suite and office are housed at the very front of the aircraft. In the event of an emergency, Air Force One has a staff doctor and houses a medical suite that can function as an operating room at a moment's notice. Air Force One also has quarters for those who accompany the President, including traveling press who sit toward the rear of the plane. As it is able to refuel mid-air, Air Force One effectively has unlimited range and can stay in the air indefinitely. As part of its advanced security systems, the jet is equipped with chaff and flare dispensers that allow it to evade enemy missiles. The new Air Force planes will be able to fly 5,900 nautical miles non-stop, meaning they can fly to any populated continent directly from Washington. Their next-generation General Electric engines are more fuel-efficient than those on the current Air Force One aircraft, but due to cost-saving efforts by Trump and the Air Force, the replacement program will only cost $5.3 billion. The planes will lack some features of their predecessors, including the ability to aerial refuel in air. And though Trump kept a model of the new jets in the Oval Office, Joe Biden will be the first president to use them when they enter service in 2024. Trump says he shaved $1.5 billion off the project by negotiating personally with Boeing President and CEO Dennis Muilenburg, though this figure has been disputed by Defense News, the War Zone, and other sources. Defense One reports Trump cut the cost of the program to $3.9 billion from the original $4.4 billion, but that did not include everything for the project. Like their predecessors, the planes are expected to last around 2 to 3 decades, meaning this is one legacy of the Trump presidency that will endure for a generation. BBC reports that a former senior manager at Boeing's 737 plant, Ed Pearson, has raised new concerns over the safety of the company's 737 MAX planes. Before Pearson spoke out, all attention was on the MAX's MCAS system, which was designed to make the new MAX models perform more like the older 737 models. The MAX models are longer and use more powerful engines that are much bigger than before. So the idea was to save design costs by simply taking an old design and stretching it, and solving the oversized engine problem by simply putting the engine forward and higher so it could clear the ground. But the new engine position tended to push the plane's nose up, so Boeing came up with the MCAS, which controls the horizontal stabilizers and pushes the plane's nose down automatically. However, faulty sensor readings could too easily make the MCAS crash the plane, which is why the MCAS has now been fixed. But Pearson's report says that authorities did not focus enough on factory conditions, which created planes with faulty sensors and other safety issues.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.